This Jody Scheckter, who joined Ferrari in 1979, blasts off the Goodwood start line in the actual 312 T4, in which he won the Grand Prix of Belgium, Monaco and Italy, while on his way to winning the World Championship that year. In the T4, Ferrari's engineers were exploring the new and more sophisticated application of aerodynamics to a Grand Prix car. Flat and wide, with side skirts which stayed as close as possible to the ground, the T4's body used the flow of air over and under it to generate downforce. Ferrari had made special studies in the Pininfarina wind tunnel to control the flow of air inside the body, and the evidence of their work is the minimal number of air inlets and outlets in the carefully shaped bodywork. Although the T4 was not ready until the third race of the season in 1979, it was good enough to let Scheckter and Gilles Villeneuve, who had joined Ferrari in 1978, to dominate the season. Between them, they took 6 victories, and Scheckter won the title in his first year at Maranello. The T4 may not have been as aerodynamically advanced as some of its rivals. The wide, flat 12 engine was very difficult for undercar ground effects, but it had a superb engine and 2 of the best drivers in the world. Winning the Monaco Grand Prix, as Scheckter did in 1979, must be one of the best feelings in the world. Winning it in a Ferrari must be even better. But being a part of a legend can be a two-edged sword, as Jody explains.
When you're driving for Ferrari, you're driving for Italy, and that creates so much pressure, and it's negative and positive, you know. It creates, they like to see an argument between the drivers and the teams and stuff, but if you can keep that at bay, it's great. I mean, it really is.
When you look back at 79, I don't know whether you do, but if you do cast your mind back to it, what were the highlights?
Well, I think, winning the championship, getting the stress, I think, over the season, normally racing has a 2-week stress and then it's over. But when you're going for the championship, it just seems to build up and get more and more and more continuous until we won the championship, and it was just like, well, it's done now,
Look at the T4 in detail as it rests in the Goodwood paddock, together with its attendant mechanics from the Ferrari Grand Prix team of the late 70s, and you see a car designed to use its own speed through the air to the best effect. Big wings push it down, while all the mechanical components are designed to offer as little wind resistance as possible. The suspension is tucked away from the wheels, inside the body and operated by rocker arms. The nose is sharply pointed, the better to penetrate the air. This is a car which almost thinks it's an aeroplane, except it's designed to stick to the ground, not fly away from it. But the T4 was the end of an era. For 10 years, the Forghieri-designed Flat 12 had been the backbone of Ferrari's Grand Prix efforts. But the T5, which was the team's car for 1980, was a boxer too far. The future lay in small turbocharged engines, and Ferrari's future arrived in 1981. Jody Scheckter retired at the end of 1980, leaving Gilles Villeneuve as the senior Ferrari driver, partnered by Frenchman Didier Pironi. Villeneuve and the turbocharged car were made for each other. He first tried the 1.5-litre 126C during practice for the Italian Grand Prix at Imola in 1980, and he found the sheer power of the engine was just what he wanted. He could hardly wait for 1981 and a full season with the new car. Naturally, there were teething troubles, but Gilles was enjoying the racing, if not the car, which had a chassis which lagged far behind the engine in terms of efficiency. But Villeneuve had the natural talent to take the car by the scruff of the neck and tame it. It was in 1981 that he first carried the racing number 27, and his performances in the turbocharged Ferraris, whether seen live or on TV, in films or in photographs, have made sure that number is forever connected with him. At the end of the season, he had taken the 126 to 2 Grand Prix victories in its first year of competition. In Monaco, in 1997, Another piece of turbocharged Ferrari history was under the spotlight in the form of a 126C3 driven by Patrick Tambay in 1983. Tambay had come into the Ferrari team in the saddest possible circumstances. Gilles Villeneuve had died during practice for the Belgian Grand Prix in 1982. For 3 GPs, the grief-stricken team had not replaced him. Then it called up Tambay, who backed up Pironi strongly until Pironi himself was badly injured in practice in Germany. Despite the shock, Tambay built up the team's morale by winning the race. In 1983, the team had the new 126C3, designed by Britain's Harvey Postlethwaite. It was Ferrari's first carbon fibre composite monocoque, and it took Tambay to a win in the San Marino Grand Prix. New regulations for 1984 reduced the amount of fuel which Grand Prix cars could carry and led to a new 126 derivative, the 126C4. Still designed by Postlethwaite, it was driven by René Arnoux, who had been Tambay's teammate in 1983, and Italian newcomer Michele Alboreto. In turn, the C4 led to an improved version, the 156/85, seen here in the hands of current Ferrari driver Eddie Irvine at the Goodwood Festival of Speed. As the 80s drew to a close, the authorities were taking steps to move Formula One away from turbocharging, and for a time the 1500cc turbos ran alongside the 3.5-litre normally aspirated cars which were to replace them. Ferrari persisted with turbocharging as long as possible, while the engineers worked on this engine for 1989. Enzo Ferrari died in 1988, and in a way, this V12 is his legacy. The authorities wanted to limit the new non-turbo engines to a maximum of 8 cylinders, but Ferrari persuaded them to accept the 12-cylinder format, which was part of his company's history. The 1984 season had shown that the best cars in Formula One were the turbocharged McLarens, and this car, unveiled at the start of 1985, was its challenger. Logically, it should have been the 126C5, but under a new system of type numbers, it became the 156/85, combining capacity, number of cylinders, and the year. It won in Canada and Germany and took 4 second places to put Ferrari second in the Constructors' Championship to the still unbeatable McLarens. This car, exhibited in the Ferrari Museum at Maranello, carries Alboreto's name because he was its most successful driver. René Arnoux started the year as his teammate, but the little Frenchman left Ferrari after just 1 GP, to be replaced by Sweden's Stefan Johansson. Neither a Grand Prix car nor a winner, this car has a place in Ferrari history for what might have been. It was built in the mid-80s with a view to returning to Indianapolis, which Enzo Ferrari saw as unfinished business. With the expertise in turbocharging which was being gained in Formula One, an attack on American racing seemed a good move. But the car never saw Indy. In true Ferrari fashion, it was used for political ends. When the Formula One authorities wanted to move to normally aspirated engines with a maximum of 8 cylinders, Enzo used the Indy car as a bargaining chip. "Let me have my 12-cylinder cars and I won't go to Indy," he told them. Scared of the impact of a Ferrari entry in the rival formula, they gave the old man what he wanted,